Hey everyone, welcome again to the second episode of the Salt and Light podcast. We would like to thank you for all the support you've given us on the first episode. Thank you again for all the likes, the shares. Continue, tell us what you think. And today we have Miriam for the second episode. Welcome, Miriam, and I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us also why did you choose our topic today.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Now, my name is Miriam, and I study in pharmacology and therapeutics. And I also work in a pharmaceutical company. I'm 22 years old, quite old, a little bit. and the topic the topic of today we chose was temptations. And I believe it's a really important topic because it's something that we're always struggling with. It's a continuous struggle. Um, the source can be an external source, our internal source. Sometimes we are the source of our own temptations. It's not even something that comes from the outside that triggers something and no, sometimes it's just you. And
I feel like the word temptation, I've only heard it mostly in a church, in spiritual gatherings. Is it something that we struggle only when we're Christian, or is something that we could have even though you're living your life every
of
day?
course not. I don't think it's only related to church. Like if we give a really small example, sometimes I'm at work and it's a really boring shift and I want to hold my phone and go on Instagram and scroll through that's a temptation. And it's nothing related with religion or church or something like that.
Okay, so let us define what is temptation. What
Okay.
I actually will read the health psychology department of Stanford University.
Okay.
They say that temptations are stimuli in one's immediate environment that prompt thoughts, feelings, and behavior that are contrary to one's goals and values. Temptations rest at the heart of self control dilemmas, decisions that require choosing between smaller immediate versus larger distal outcomes. What do you think about that definition?
Definitely. Reminds me of the experiment they had on little children. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's with the marshmallows. So basically, they bring children,
Mm-hmm.
they bring children in, and was many children, and they gave them the choice. I can't quite remember the exact experiment, but they told them, okay, you can either eat this marshmallow right now, or if you wait 3 minutes or a certain amount of time, you're going to have more marshmallows. And some kids chose the instant reward and they ate the marshmallow right away, and some other kids they decided to wait and get the more marshmallows.
It is actually makes me think about a class that I had of psychology. Freud talks goes in more deep in the psychology of human beings when he explains that we do have three sides, and I think we talked about it the last episode. And there's this kid in those three parts, this kid in ourselves that always wants the gratification today.
Yes.
So for Miriam, and I want to hear more about you, what are the different temptations that you feel like you see every day in everyone's life, and what are the ones that are maybe, without going into details if you don't want to, but there are the darker ones? How do you deal with them? How do you deal with those, harsher, darker ones? Because we're called to be perfect like Jesus, right? We're called to be better, to help others. And in my head is very hard. Like, I'm thinking about my own temptations and all the falls that I go through, and I'm like, why am I still doing what I'm doing? Like, why am, like, this imposter feeling that I have right now in front of the camera, where like I shouldn't be the one talking. I am so not good. Like, I shouldn't be the one in front of the camera
It is.
talking.
It is. And honestly, um, and I've been going through this struggle since 9 years old. It's a really big struggle of mine. Um, and it is a temptation at the end of the day. And I can tell you that this is again my own experience, and I 100% believe it. When I left it to God, it's as if it disappeared. And whenever I try to regain, not access, I'm sorry, when I try to
Control.
regain control, thank you, and tell myself, okay, Miriam, you got this, da da da, whoop, like this,
Okay.
you just fall headfirst. And I know it's crazy. I know it's. I used to hear it a lot from servants in meetings and from different priests, and I never believed it, to be honest. But I
What
remember
is
that just leave it to God, pray to God, He's gonna take care of it. Ta
mm-hmm.
ta ta. He's stronger than you. It's never you that.
the whole
Never,
the whole
never believe
the
it.
whole teddy bear? Have you seen the picture with the teddy bear when as like a little girl that is holding a small
Yeah.
teddy bear and God has the bigger one?
But I remember the turning point in this continuous struggle of mine. I have other temptations, but this is the example that I have because it's the biggest thing, by the way, that I'm still going through, because we
Mm-hmm.
fall, we get up, we fall, we get up. But I remember one time I was no longer feeling ashamed, you know? Like it was that bad to the point that you no longer feel ashamed. It's normal, whatever. Nah,
You,
it's not gonna
you're
change.
even defying people around you with that temptation. Be like, you know what? I don't care about you. I'm done. I'm gonna go in it. I'm gonna do
Exactly.
it. And I'm gonna be proud about it.
Exactly. Everyone does it.
Oh yeah.
God is gonna punish everyone. Like all of these thoughts go through your head, and
He is
yeah.
gonna punish everyone. Be like, yeah, he's gonna take the time. I don't think he's gonna be defined by time. Like, I have 2 minutes. Okay, the rest go in. No,
Yeah.
but
But I
I see your
remember
point.
that one time, I don't know what had changed in me, but this one time I was feeling really bad, and I was really I prayed. It was one of the times that I really prayed from really from my heart, like from the bottom of my heart, is as if I was fighting with God. I was telling him, I can't do this anymore. I really need you to step in because I really can't do it myself. I promised you once and twice and 3 times and 10 times that I'm gonna stop, but I can't. And I cannot do it myself. And you really need to step in because I'm not gonna be able to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even joking. It's as if it disappeared. It wasn't even crossing my mind.
I know that feeling because I actually had one like this. I was uh, after the Holy Week, and I was actually struggling in the Holy Week to work on that temptation. And right at resurrection, I really felt at resurrection I was being liberated with everyone. And for a second, I was breathing. It was something that felt like I always felt like I was kept down, like strangled, like
You're
just.
rising from the dead too. He
And I was
is
like,
rising with you.
and I'm just like, I just felt liberated. And I'm like, I was able to take a deep breath. And then even the days after, I was like, I was just living that life, like just, I was actually happy, like
Of course.
pure happiness.
Liberated.
But 1 week later, back in it.
And it happens. And you know what? We always talk about forgiving other people, forgiving other people. You need to learn how to forgive yourself too. Because it's one thing holding yourself accountable, and it's one thing not forgiving yourself. It's done, it's in the past, you've confessed, move on. Because God has moved on, quote unquote. It's non-existent for him.
Mhm.
Whatever you've done, خلاص, it's non-existent, it's over. But it's for you yourself. You cannot move past it. You're not forgiving yourself. And I think it's important to learn how to forgive yourself.
There's a verse that I actually highlighted, Matthew 26:1. Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And funny thing is, one of the things that I was confessing one day, and I was sitting with Abuna, and I was talking about like huge things, things I was like ashamed, and I'm like I had a tear, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And he legit said one thing. He's like, eat less. And I was like, I understand that I need a diet.
Thank you.
But he was like, do you think I'm talking about like you getting in shape or anything? He's like, the moment that your body is satisfied with food, your mind and your spirit is gonna be willing, and then your body is gonna be willing to do more sin. Gluttony is the stepping stone to all the other sins. The moment that you're satisfying your body and you're adding
Honestly, I
to,
don't know how I feel about that.
because he's like, if you think about it, and I was like,
I need to sit with it for a day or two and like think about it, and I'll
because
come back to you on it. But I don't know.
I said no, because I was thinking about it. He was like, think about it and come back to me. And seriously, the different times that I was actually in in deep in my temptation was when I was actually after food or have like big time sushi, like that day,
Yeah.
and you eat hard, or and it's different when I'm actually fasting or I'm eating less, I'm on the run, I'm active, I'm
And the
not.
way I understood the verse, it's as if there was two people inside of you. Oh, you know this picture with the devil and the angel?
Mm-hmm.
It's that. There's the spirit and the flesh. And sometimes, not sometimes, most times they want different stuff. They want opposite stuff. And this is how I understood it. And it is, to me, in that sense, it is true. Like
Okay. So back to we were defining temptation, and I
yes.
like how you were like, okay, so the body in you think that the body is quite a source of temptation. That's what you're saying when you compared it to the devil and the angel.
Your mind. Your mind is a huge temptation. Like, for example, I'm going to talk about my own experience, and I've struggled with anxiety and depression, and it was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I've developed bad habits. For example, I sleep way too much. Sometimes I just want to stay in my room and not get out of my room. This is it. Unfortunately, it has become my comfort zone. And
Mm-hmm.
going against that, for me, it's going against a huge temptation. So my mind here is playing tricks on me. That I'm talking about me and my
By the way,
experience.
you're seeing it right, because one of the types or the different sources or variation, if you call it that, of temptation, and that's again from the Stanford University. So there's different variation of how you could get tempted. It could be in a situation. It could have a motive for that temptation. And what you're talking about is the personal variation, which is something that is familiar to you. So how they write it is, such automation of one's behavior toward temptation might also exasperate su- susceptibility. Oh my God, susceptibility to unwanted and accidental priming effect. That is, motivation to indulge in a temptation may be activated by social cues without conscious intent or awareness. So you in being in your room, actually it happens to me too. Me being in my room, there's certain temptation that hits me when I'm on my computer at home, or if I'm in my room. My room is a certain area that
It's a
is
comfort zone, of course.
and that's why sometimes I'll be like, I'll just work from outside, or I'll just do certain things for me to clear out my head first before doing anything. And I'm just like, it is so true. And even in confession, they always ask you, or they tell you, do something, work out, one, two,
Of
three.
course.
It's always
Stay
physic.
busy.
And it's
If you stay
always
busy and you don't give yourself the time to really like think or to wander off,
okay.
you're distracting yourself, basically.
Oh, wait, that I want to just segue this. So we're talking about the mind, the body, the person, and there's a lot more to say. And I think we're gonna talk about it for a long time. We're gonna continue it. But I had a question. Do you think, because I said situationally and the motive behind temptations, can this be sourced, outsourced by someone around you? Could it be your environment, a friend, a family member that
Oh, definitely. Peer
gives
pressure, of course.
gives you that? How do you deal with that?
Oh, definitely.
How do you receive it first, and how do you deal with that, Miriam?
I think it depends. Obviously, I'm not perfect and I fall a lot and sometimes I give into it.
Mhm.
But I think the most important thing is that you realize that you've fallen so you can get up quickly. There's a verse that says, I can't quite remember it in English, but right, if we're roughly translating it,
Mhm.
righteous man falls 7 times a day and gets up. So God knows you're gonna fall. Obviously, you're gonna fall. Just get up. So I think sometimes when I'm not alert or I'm not fully there or I'm distracted by anything, I'll definitely fall and I'll give into it because I'm not there, you know? But when I'm there, sometimes I tend to change topics or literally just r- remove myself from this situation. Like literally just leave. Get out of it.
Okay, so fleeing is also a solution,
Of
but
course.
that's the short. So that's a good. I really loved it because I also use that. I feel like whenever I'm not in a good place, or if I feel like I'm gonna do something wrong, I rather be away and be like, you know what, I don't want to not deal with it, but I want to be in a
Avoid
place
it.
and avoid it and clear my head so that I don't need to fall into any errors. Now, this is short term, if I could say that.
Of course.
What?
Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't run away. But I
Yeah,
think you need to be also confident enough to make a point. Which means, for example, if you're with your friends and let's say they're all smoking, whatever, they're smoking, and
I like the nuance. They're just smoking. You never know where you are. Smoking could be so many things.
and you do not smoke. Now
Hmm.
they're your friends and you really like them, and let's say you don't want to go home. You need to be confident enough to say, guys, I'm not gonna smoke. You need to make, not to make a point to them. No, you need to make a point to them. I'm sorry.
I was like, I want to see where she's going with not making a point.
No, of course. They need to know this is who I am. We're friends. I give I give you my advice. This is not good for you, but I'm in no way imposing my life of style on you. So I respect the choices that you're making, although I do not agree with it.
Hmm.
And I think this goes both ways. You, same way I'm respecting your choices, you need to respect my choices. So if you decide to smoke, for example, and we're in the same outing or gathering or whatever, you would know for a fact that you're not going to tell me, oh, Miriam, like, do you want to smoke, for example? You know?
But would you? Is there a like? Would you like in this situation? I feel like you're gonna still be friends with them. Is that a possibility, or ultimately you're gonna be? So let's say that they keep this lifestyle. Let's say that they don't do anything. They don't change anything, and they keep everything, including the smoking habit. Would you think that being their friends is justifiable in some way?
At some point, you're going to grow out of it.
So
At some point,
sooner or later, what you're saying is sooner or later, I'm gonna be out of that friendship.
you're going to make that decision. You're going to feel like this is not your place. I'm not comfortable to be around you guys anymore, and you're going to leave. Now, I'm not talking about smoking exactly. Like, it's not only that
Could be
because,
anything.
yeah, I believe that, like, I didn't mean smoking per se, you know?
Or you could
Smoking
say
is a choice
clubbing. We could say
that whatever it is,
whatever
whatever
it
it
is.
is.
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
point.
Like I'm not yeah. But if it's something, if you're not on the same grounds, at some point you're going to grow out of it. And sometimes when you're young, you would be stubborn. You're going to try to convince yourself that these are the right people for me. These people love me, although we're not on the same ground, although we don't have the same like bottom values. We're not coming from the same place, but no, they're my friends. Na na na, and sooner or later you will grow out of it, and it's not going to be a conscious decision necessarily. Like you're not going to sit with yourself and be like, okay, we're not going to be friends with these people anymore. No, it's going to come naturally.
Sometimes you will. I actually did. I had to sit. I actually sat down
That's
And
painful.
it was very painful, and it took me so much time. But when I was like, I don't know what to do anymore, and the answer was, it's okay, move on, leave and move on. And it wasn't certain temptation, it was just like so much trouble and
Yes.
problems. And but I liked that you started with, because we didn't have the same foundation basis. What are these foundations that you're talking about? What is your foundation for you to decide if this friend will be a good friend or not? And from there, maybe minimize the source of temptations from them.
What are they adding to me? What are they doing in my life? What are what track are they putting me on? Are they making me doubt myself and doubt who I am? Or are they enriching that?
People will tell you, I'm going to try to be the devil advocate.
Please, I love that.
It's gonna be a hard one, but let's say that it'd be like, why I've been there for you. Why are you trying to like add up what I'm doing for you or not?
Okay, great. You've
It's
been
disrespectful to my friendship, what I've given to you.
okay. What have you added to me? Because this sentence, as it is, has literally been said to me in a friendship that for some reason had ended. After all that I've done to you, you do this to me. What did you do to me? List. I want a list of the things that you've done to me.
Let's
What did you add to my life?
let me be that friend of yours
Yes,
that
please.
sat down with you late nights to talk to you about guy issues or the problems you have at home. The time invested in that friendship.
And I have done the same. It's not a one-way thing.
Okay.
You've been there for me, and I've been there for you. This is what friends are for. But what I'm talking about is different. What did you add to Miriam? Did you make me grow? Did you help me in my growth? Or have you been weighing me down? Some people would let you go. These are true friends. They would literally, they would see you fly and just be there in case you fall. But they were look at you flying and actually enjoying that, and they would give you tips. Maybe do your wings like that. They would want to see you fly even higher and higher, but they're always there in case you fall, and they wouldn't want to weigh you down. And some other people know. They are down, and they want you to stay down with them.
I'm laughing because I've
Yes.
seen. I'm actually visualizing what you're saying with certain situations that I've seen myself.
And it's being able to see that. It took me years to realize that these people are weighing me down. And it took me a horrible situation. It took me a slap in the face to see that.
Do we always?
And then
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No,
And
continue.
then when this situation happened, obviously it really did hurt because I wasn't expecting that from them. Although there was a small voice in me telling me, Miriam, no. Miriam, these are not it. These are not the people we want in our lives. Go away. But I've always answered that voice with, no, we haven't seen anything wrong from them. They're our friends. Don't say that.
Everything is perfect. What you're talking about?
Exactly. But it took me that slap in the face and it was painful, but then it happened naturally that I don't need you in my life. And ironically enough, this person tried to come back. I'm sorry. Ironically enough, this person tried to come back in my life recently, and
You said no.
I said
Literally.
no. Like, we can keep it at that for the sake of the podcast.
The whole paragraph summary.
No. It wasn't a whole paragraph. It was 2 words.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No, it basically was a no.
Really no. So absolutely no.
You know that stand-up comedian? Absolutely not.
Take it and go. But because I relate with you when you said a slap in the face. My question is, does it really need to come to a slap? Is there a way for us to always know how to deal with those source of temptation, the source of all those attacks? Is it actually, let's is it an attack given by God, or is it simply a bad choice?
What do you think? I want to hear it. I want to hear from you first. What do you think?
Usually the host asks.
I'm sorry.
No. I recently was made aware that there is nothing that comes bad from God.
Definitely. Yes. There's a verse in James. It's actually a couple of verses. I'm sorry. It's James 1:13-18. And it says, when tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desires and enticed. Then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created.
So why are they saying that he's the source of like this sentence that I hear is, well, God sent me those temptations for me to grow. Is it because it's something that we've talked about last time, and we didn't really get into it because we were talking more about the forgiveness of everything. But when I'm in a bad situation or when I'm tempted, what is it that makes
I
the
think
temptation alive?
we use it as, I'm not sure if this is the word in English, as a hanger. Shama.
Yeah, hanger. Yes.
Exactly. God has but actually God can use this temptation that you're going through to give you something fruitful. There's a verse, Romans
8:28.
8:28. We know that all things God works for the good for those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So everything he can use whatever situation that you're in and shape it into something beautiful for you that's doable. But now, does that mean that whatever that you've gotten yourself into comes from him? No. Because if it did, then where's your free will, right?
Oh, nice touch. So it is a free will. So God respects our free will.
Of course. Now there's a huge difference between he knows and it's coming from him. I know that the tree is there, but did I put it there? No, but I know it's here. You see what I'm trying to say?
100%. So actually, I have a stat that is a bit scary, and it's actually very dark, and it's in the United States. So 40% of death in the United States every year are attributable to self-control failures. How can it come to that? And I'm just when I read it when I was preparing, I was so surprised on how it could actually lead to death.
Cigarettes, drinking and driving, alcohol poisoning. These are all things that, I'm sorry, like it or not, it's temptations. You smoke cigarettes because of temptations. I'm not saying you're good or bad, but this is something that you need to make peace with. You are tempted by cigarettes, or you're tempted by the feeling that cigarettes give you, by the peace of mind, by the relief from anxiety, whatever it is. So that's why you smoke. For example, if we go in parallel, if I'm gonna talk about my for example experience with the bad habits I've developed because of depression, I am tempted by the feeling of Nothing goes through my mind. I just want to sleep and lay in bed all day. So sometimes I give in to it and I lay in bed and I sleep all day.
And how do you manage that temptation? How do you try to limit that temptation? Is there any tips or tricks that you use to help yourself not to fall in that temptation?
Honestly, um, it depends what we're talking about, right? So, for example, if we're talking about depression and anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
go seek help. Go seek help. You need professional help.
Uh,
I know for a fact I needed professional help because at some point I was told by many people, our beloved tantat and uncles, pray more, habibti. May God lead you on the right path. That would just make me angry with God because I'm praying, but I still feel bad. I am not okay. I I'm not doing better, definitely not. I actually had to go and seek professional help. Then I was able to get the benefits from praying. Once this medical attention was given to me and I learned how to manage it, whatever way I chose with my therapist to manage it, then I was able to really get the benefits people get from praying, to feel heard, to feel safe, to feel, not to feel heard, to be heard, to be fulfilled. I was able to feel all that. That's if we're talking about these two bad boys.
well, I feel like any temptation that becomes a habit, a bad habit,
Yes, definitely.
you'll need help. But
I
this,
think the first step is to also, I'm sorry, the first step is to realize that you've fallen into the temptation. This is the first step to, like, for example, if you ask a person that smokes, oh, I'm not addicted. I can stop at any time. No, first of all, you need to realize that you're addicted. That's first of all.
it's the first thing that everyone does. If I want to stop, I'll stop right now, but I'll do it tomorrow.
Yes, and actually, I had a friend in Egypt, and we were just talking about that, and he was telling me like, that's in the beginning. He was telling me, I can stop at any time. I'm not addicted, and I was telling him, okay, stop. And then he was like, okay, I'll stop. And then the next day, he was like, no, I think I need help. I can't stop. And I'm like, there we go. That's the first step. Check mark. We've realized it.
Therapists are usually the go-to help, especially for every person. Is it the same with us? Like, I feel like if I want to talk about myself, I feel like if I have God and I have prayer and I have this and that, why do I need a therapist? I have the priest if I need to go talk and confess. But I love the way that you're saying, no, I'm relearning some stuff. I'm readjusting how to love, how to hate, how to, not hate, but like how to feel hurt, how to deal with hurt, how to deal with life and just reprogram that. And I feel like we're not saying this enough, that priests are not
They're
therapists.
not
They're
therapists.
not there. They're there to help us as much as they can. But imagine having 1,000 every single day. But what I'm saying is that I've read this book that says confession. It's not a therapy session. Confession is few minutes. You sit down with the priest. You tell them, I have done this, that, and that.
And you make peace
Absolve
with
me.
God.
Yeah.
Okay? Confession is you making peace with God. Now you need to make peace with yourself too. And this is a really important aspect. And sometimes for small things, confession can help because sometimes the only reason why you can't make peace with yourself is you feel like you're not in peace with God. So in these cases, yes, confession will help. But in other cases, it will not help.
And not even that. I think that the spiritual exercises that priests give, they help you to continue in your spiritual struggle. But as a human being, when I am stuck psychologically in a certain pattern, I need to break through. I even had a priest tell me, by the way, that this program that could help you with this kind of temptation that you're always hitting and that habit that you're always hitting, why don't we'll try to help you out to cover some of the expenses. And that was him trying to find a solution with me for that kind of um, problem.
Definitely. And therapy is not, it's not taboo and it's not bad and it doesn't go against Christianity in any sort of way. It helps you become a better version of yourself. This is how I see it.
Okay, so I'll give you. I have actually a few not basic temptation, but very known temptation. The top 5 known temptations out there, and I have different ways to manage them, and I want your input. I want Miriam. Is it
I'll
applicable
judge
to you?
them. Okay.
It's
All right.
it's basic, but it's things that I found from the different therapists, different universities, and we'll see how it goes. So first one that we see a lot is the temptation from food that I talked about, right? So different things is regular physical activity. Different thing is a different way to manage is a balanced diet, proper meal planning. What do you think about these? Do you think it's
Honestly,
applicable?
personally, food is not a big issue for me. Like I can't relate to this as a temptation.
I could
'Cause
relate.
I like food. I love food,
Okay.
but if I do not eat, I'm okay too. Like sometimes I have cravings, like
Yeah.
everyone, of course, but
But I mean, I've heard a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
the trainers tell you, oh, you need to stop eating after 8, after 9. Late night snacks are the worst. No breakfast in the morning is a bad, like not having breakfast in the morning is a bad choice for your own
It's
health.
a bad, not a bad habit, but it's not preferred.
Not preferred. So I think using a balanced diet, having actually a plan when to eat, because I had an episode where I was helping out in a place. It's actually 2 hours from here, and I was actually tired. It's after a full day of work, and then slept a few hours. Went back in the day after. We had liturgy in the morning, and then with the kids and everything, just jumped in. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go sit down. I had some allergies. I went to sit down. No responsiveness. I was hearing stuff, like I was hearing people around me. I wasn't able anywhere to respond. And everyone, the people are like, oh, it's nothing. He's just most probably sleeping. Until they realized I was just not answering, even if they were pounding me. And I just realized how, as much of like physical work I've been putting myself into, and you find yourself, you're able to continue, and you add and you add and you add. You don't mind because your body is sustaining all that pressure. And the moment you fall, that it clicks. No, I need to start taking care of myself. And it was sad because I really was panicking in that moment, and it was really stressful in that moment. I really wish no one goes with that, but I feel like we always wait at the last minute when we're not beyond help, but you're in a bad situation. You received a slap to your face, where
Definitely,
like,
and
wake
even
up.
even in like, for example, I know for a fact, like, once we had a meeting, for example, and I remember I was starting to, sometimes from time to time I would get a panic attack. It's not as bad as before. It's less frequent, but it happens from a time to another. And I remember that I knew in the meeting I'm about to get a panic attack. Like, not like I need to leave, but I was telling myself, no, I'll stay. It's not that bad. It's okay. Until I really couldn't anymore. Until I was on the verge of lose it here. Then I realized, okay, no, Miriam, you have to go. Then I went.
Oh,
But I know now, looking back at it, if I had left the room, it wouldn't have been that bad. When I had this thought, Miriam, leave now, go get some fresh air, it wouldn't have turned into a bad panic attack. But the fact that I've waited and waited and waited and waited.
so if okay, I get you. So
It's exactly.
tackling it as soon as possible is the best option in
Of
all the,
course. Of
and that's great
course.
because the second one is shopping and spending. And okay, I got you there. So, three ways.
Oh
There's the
gosh.
first one is budgeting, having a budget. The second one is delayed gratification, when you need to buy something, but you wait for it to see and to test if you really want it. And the mindful spending, it's always thinking about it twice or three times. But I love delayed gratification because of today's technology, everything comes on Amazon. Everything comes in a day. Like actually, in the United States, is within the same day. It's like you.
Oh really? Actually, no, no, no.
I feel like I should have not said that.
Because with Sephora, I know like with Sephora, if you spend over a certain amount of time a certain amount per year, if you spend over that, sometimes you have delivery the same day. So I can order,
Wow.
like, for example, a lipstick, and it's delivered to me at the end of the day.
Wow, that's nuts. I don't want to ask what's the amount because I'm scared of the amount. So let's go with the number three, substance use. So this one is less frequent, but is noted to be one of the biggest,
You
the
would be
harmest
surprised, of course.
choices, and the the way to manage it is something that we know: support groups, professional counseling, and appropriate medical interventions.
And realize that you have a problem.
Yeah.
Realize that you have a problem.
I think in all five, realizing is the number
And
one to everything.
you need to actually be willing to change. Because, for example, no, I can't give that. But
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I know, but let's say, for example, that my parents, I'll talk about myself. For example, my parents find something in my car. Okay, let's say they find a drugs. Okay, and there's a difference between I want to stop because it's harming me, and I want to stop because to satisfy my parents. Because if you're going to stop to satisfy your parents, you're going to get back to it. Because it's not coming from you. You're not stopping for you. You're stopping for someone else.
But there's also stopping because if you continue, that's the end of the line.
For you. You need to realize that you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you feel bad. Exactly. You need to see that it's going to be the end if you continue.
There's this interview that I've watched about. It's with Simon Sinek. I don't know if you know him. So I love this guy, and there's this he gets questioned about helping others, when to stop helping others, and he answers, if the person that you're helping does not accept the change first, he wants to change and he accepts the situation and wants to change, you should stop helping him because it's only going to harm you and he's going to drag you with him.
Definitely.
And he gives the example of the lifeguards. Lifeguards, when they actually help, and that I think it's still the same. Lifeguards, when they help someone that is drowning, if they are not capable to handle the situation and they think that the drowning person is gonna drown them also, they don't help. And that was very I was very surprised because they need to handle.
So I am.
They need to handle people need to accept the help first for them to not drown the lifeguard with them.
But I think, and I may be wrong here, they don't let them drown. What they do is that they wait until they pass out so they can stop resisting, and then they get them out of the water.
Yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
the rule is never get drowned with the
Of course.
with the person.
It goes against what you're trying to do, of course.
Number 4 of our list is procrastination and time management. I think that is tackling
Everyone
everyone since COVID, especially.
Since COVID?
COVID, sitting at home doing not. Actually, most of us did not work and just got the money
Zoom, I'm closing the camera. Sorry, my computer does not have a camera and I'm sleeping while the lecture is being given. Of course.
I cannot see things
That
that I've
cannot
done.
that
Things that I've done.
Oh god, that cannot be said.
But yeah, we've closed cameras. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work,
I'm
right?
pretty sure my teachers have done it too. So like just in case.
Actually, everyone has done it somehow. But the way to help with that is time blocking, setting goals, breaking tasks into manageable parts. Like kids, break it till it's a singular task, and tackling
And have a
this.
calendar.
Yes, I need to do one.
And there's an app that is really helping me studying. It's called Forest. So this app basically it sets 25 minutes and then 5 minutes of break. So during these 25 minutes you're studying and then you take a 5 minutes break. And what's really cool about it is that every time you accomplish 25 minutes, there's a tree that's
It's
planted.
growing, right?
Exactly. So then it's
So
like,
cute.
oh,
Actually, I saw that, and it's
now. Yeah. it's really cool.
Number 5, and that's our new era, the social media and the internet use.
The phone, right? Yeah.
So different ways to manage it is digital detox, scheduled offline time, and productive hobby engagement. So I've seen a lot of influencer be like, I'm out, and they come back, be like, I'm back. And it's actually becoming a bit more regular, especially that mental health has been pushed or touched or talked more.
Thank God. Yeah.
Thank God. Because we've been dealing with our issues without talking about them. But I feel like all those actions, I think it's very important to say, if you do not choose to tackle those issues by yourselves and you take the initiative, even if it is with help, with a push of people around you, you're never going to tackle them. You're always going to feel tempted and fall into those traps. And it's something that you said that I love, because I don't know, I remember every single time, if it wasn't for the support that I had, I would never be here today.
Of course.
So
it's crazy how saying that there's this one person or two people that come to your mind.
Yeah, and people undermine, and that's the friends that I kept.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely.
and
they stay with you.
And that's
and
the family.
Through it all, they're here. They
yeah,
make
and
everything easier. And without her, I wouldn't have been here.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us at least today.
My pleasure.
Before we leave, do you have one book recommendation or something that we could go and check it up to learn more?
Actually, there's a really nice story that I would like for everyone to read, but actually take their time reading it. And it's the story of Hosea and Gomer.
Ooh.
Take the time reading the story and imagine yourself in the place of Gomer.
Gomer.
Yeah. After reading it, imagine for a moment that you're Gomer and God is Hosea. And sit with that.
Wow. Okay. I will. Actually, I'm going to reread it and put myself in the place I've never done. There's a lot of stories that I've never put myself in it.
It's a must.
And you change the whole stories. The whole story changes in itself.
And it changes your perspective. And the word, God is not going to forgive me, I've done something that's unforgivable. You realize that.
Very true.
No.
Thank you, Miriam, again for coming today and sharing your story. Thank you guys for listening to us. And we would like for you to comment and tell us what kind of temptation you go through and how did you deal with it. Also, comment what would you like to hear in the next episodes. We will take the most liked comments and we will actually work on it to have a guest on that subject and work on it. Thank you again for listening to us and for the support, and God bless.